Austin, Texas country is Coke FM 99.3 KOKE. Also heard at 98.5, Eric Rains. Proud to be joined. First of all, this is the first in-studio guests that we've had in well over a year. So Robert Wagner, Collins Johnson. Paul, what's your last name again?
Gomez.
Paul Gomez. Yay, we all clap. It's exciting. I'm glad this is the first time we've had people in the studio because this is all about John Lockhart today, and that's why we're all here, and that's why I'm excited about it. And Robert got a hold of me, I guess a week or so ago, and says, we have an event. I would love to come on the radio or get on the phone. And I said, no, let's come in the studio. Let this be the first time that we get back together. Because all of our buddies, and I think a lot of the community, John Lockhart, loved that guy, and we lost him last year. And we never got to say goodbye the way we should have. And I think he deserved it, and that's, I think, why we're here, to have a conversation. Robert brought his guitar. Maybe we'll play a song.
Yeah.
And just share
absolutely.
some moments. But first of all, the events, we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll talk about John. Let's talk about that entire weekend, starting, was it Friday, April the 9th?
Yes. Well, the Celebration of Life for John Lockhart is going to be on Friday, April 9th at the Cork and Barrel in Round Rock, which Paul Gomez is here with Cork and Barrel. And we're going to be celebrating John's life with a Suede show. Of course, John was in Suede, the founding member, along with Chris Giles and our band leader, our fearless band leader and guitar master. And then we're going to have our brother Brian Andrew Lee, who was in the band for the first 10 years before he retired to raise his daughter and become a musical engineer wizard. I don't know. Anyways, he's going to be playing solo from 5 to 6:30. So the whole event starts. The music starts at 5 o'clock, and I think we'll open the doors at 4 o'clock, and then it'll go till 10 o'clock. Suede will play from 7 to 10 o'clock on the 9th there.
And so there's also a golf tournament associated with this as well.
There is, and that's the day before on April 8th, Thursday. So I think to preface some of this is we have started the John Lockhart Foundation in John's honor and at John's request. So the fundraising side of this is going to be Thursday at the golf tournament, and that's going to be at Avery Ranch. We're fortunate that we've sold out of teams and
really?
Sponsorships.
Already?
And, yeah.
That says a lot about John right there.
Says a lot about John, and it didn't take long. So that's going to be shotgun start at, I think it's 12 or 12:30 on Thursday the 8th, followed by a small reception and dinner. Brian Lee is going to come out and do an acoustical set for us there as well. All the proceeds from that tournament will go to benefit the Center for Child Protection, which is an advocacy group for children that are the victims of abuse and crime. So it's going to be a 3-day weekend. We're kicking off the golf tournament on that Thursday. We're doing the Celebration of Life Friday evening at Cork and Barrel, which is a new and fabulous venue in Round Rock. You guys need to go check out. And then on Saturday, we're actually having a long overdue memorial service at Gateway Church in North Austin, and that's going to be at 1 o'clock. We're going to open the doors for that at 12:40.
Open to the public?
It is open to the public. It's important to say that not everybody's going to be guaranteed a place inside, although it is one of the larger church facilities in town, and it's one in which John served at, and he played every Sunday. You got to register for it online, and if you go to the johnlockhartfoundation.com, actually it's not it's johnlockhartfoundation.com, you'll see some of that on there, and any overflow that doesn't get into the church. Now, we're going to have a large video wall out in the courtyard, and there's going to be a lot of people that love John that are going to be in that area, and they're still going to get to see the entire service, and they're going to get to see it and celebrate his life and his legacy together with others that loved and adored him.
You're listening to Collins Johnson, and I got to back up. I did a terrible job of kind of introducing who you guys were in John's life. You mentioned the celebration. Again, we never really got to. I watched Suede. Y'all did a good job. There was what did y'all play last year? There's like one small memorial service after John passed.
I was at Hanover's 2.0.
Right.
Which I don't think is open anymore, unfortunately. But, yeah, we did have a little show, and we had some of the band members from his previous bands throughout his long career
right.
came out and played. and we showed some pictures on the big wall, on the big screen, and it was a nice event. But this is really something that we've been thinking about for a year. You know, we lost John on the 29th of March in 2020, so it's almost a year to the day, or just a little bit past, a couple days past the anniversary of his passing. And so this is something that's we've been looking to do for a long time.
And Paul Gomez, Cork and Barrel, and we're going to talk about the events that are happening there. Collins Johnson, I guess when Robert described who was going to come in with him, he was like, everybody's got to have that right-hand man, that friend that's there holding the hand to the very end, and that was you.
Yes, it was. I was honored to be that man.
Talk about John, what he meant to you, and what kind of person he was for people that don't even know him, because you probably had I even said off the air, when we talked half an hour before we got on the show, and I was like, man, I never knew how really sick John was, because even when he was sick and people were having to tell me, yeah, man, it's getting bad. And that's kind of the way it was. But there was always a smile on his face. He never said a word, never mentioned it to anybody. And that's kind of, and the last days of John's life, I got to send him a text, and I got to tell him I loved him and that I would always play his music. It would play every single day. And it meant a lot to me for him to at least see it on a text. But being there, going through, you know, what you had to go through with him, talk about that guy.
Well, you know, what you said was is a testament to who John is. John is positive energy in this world. And for the very few people out there that don't know who John is, he's one of the most gracious, diplomatic, caring, friendly, and accepting individuals that ever walked this earth. He's been a pioneer in the music scene in Austin for decades, but he was also just a wonderful, wonderful man. And actually, I usually don't speak in past tense with John. He is a wonderful, wonderful man. And he's still present in all of our hearts, all of our lives. And, you know, I was honored that he asked me to take that journey with him. And sure, it came with some tough days, and it came with some tough times. And you know, I went with him to MD Anderson, and I sat in some of those appointments with him, and I was there with him through the whole thing, and honestly, I was honored, and you know, a lot happened in that last year. And when he was first diagnosed, first thing he did was he went to his Aunt Mary's house, and she's pretty much who raised him, and she had an old place up on the hill off of Southwest Parkway, and he went there and he spent the first 30 days there, and I spent 29 of those 30 days with John, and that was the days where he was kind of coming to terms with his diagnosis and kind of accepting it and figuring out what that adjustment's going to be like for him in his life. And when he got through that and we came back out, and he lived life to the fullest. He changed a lot of people's lives along the way, especially towards the end. But most importantly, he came out and became, you know, not that he was ever anything but an exceptional person, but he became the best version of himself. And we lived, and we had fun, and we played golf, and we worked, and we did business, and we traveled, and you know, I watched him embrace and take time for so many people during that time, and he fought hard, and I fought by his side, and no matter the diagnosis, and no matter what the doctor said, he never gave up. He fought hard, and he got in the best shape any man could possibly be in, physically and mentally. He never slowed down. He still played and swayed. He still made his shows. He still did his job. He still made time for his friends, and there were times where it started getting, you know, worse and more painful. And, you know, he went through chemo, and that bought him some time. And honestly, he felt great. And he handled chemo better than just about anybody I've ever seen, until it got to a point where it was obvious that the cancer was winning and that the chemo wasn't any better. You know, it was, the chemo was to kick the can down the road another 2 months, and the side effects really just became not worth it. And that's when John came to me, and him and I were actually supposed to go to Mexico on a Friday and seek some alternative treatment options. And he took a turn for the worst. He got in a lot of pain, and he wound up going to the hospital. We were actually supposed to go that Sunday, and Friday he wound up going to the hospital. And, of course, I went right up there and saw him, and he pulled me aside, and he said, "Collins, I don't think I'm going to do the chemo anymore. I don't think I'm going to do any more treatments. You know, I feel the Holy Spirit. I'm right with the Lord. I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable with my life. And, you know, I've lived a good life." And he looked at me and said, "You know, Collins, I've never really suffered." He said, "I've had a good life. And, you know, if this I have to take this suffering and as my last hoorah and my exit to heaven, and I have to do this then for God, then I'm okay with it. He said, so I've decided that we're not going to do any more treatments, and we're not going to seek alternative paths, and I'm just going to get off chemo, and you know, I'd really like it if you were on this journey with me. And of course, I looked at him and said, man, I won't leave your side.
Well, I just want to say thanks for sharing. I think you probably helped a lot of people in just that right there. Even, you know, the people that are watching this that didn't get to hear that end journey or didn't know exactly what happened or didn't know maybe even what John had as far as his cancer. And I think for a lot of us, we just knew John we knew he was sick. And to come full circle in 1 full year, almost, you know, close to the day that you guys come in the studio and hang out with us says a whole lot about the friendship. So thank you for sharing that. That couldn't be easy because you were there. And
I was, but you know, all things considered, he never made a day go by that wasn't positive.
Right.
And he, you know, he blew people's minds, the things he would say to them and the way he would compartmentalize this illness and his journey and his path, and people would walk in, and you guys saw it when you came in there that one day, and I wrote a snippet about it, you know, and it someone would come in to express, you know, their sorrow for him and walk out with a smile. Even in his worst days, John changed more lives in his last few weeks than many men will do in 10 lifetimes.
Sounds like it changed your life too, a little bit.
He changed my life a lot, you know,
right.
to have gone through that and to see his strength and his vision and his compassion for people and the way he shared his emotions and his feelings for what he was going through and in all cases with a positive spin.
Right.
You know, he made it always a positive and not about me. You know, it wasn't, and I say that, you know, for him, it wasn't about him. He was comfortable with you know, the outcome and the path. What he got to do was impact the lives of others at his worst times in the most positive of ways. And as much as it was painful to see a best friend in that condition, it was so inspiring, so motivational to see how he handled it and how he took that time in his life to make other people's lives better. And that's how the John Lockhart Foundation was born, on that premise.
You mentioned it earlier, but talk about that foundation one more time as far as that helping other people.
Well, so, you know, like I said, I've spent a lot of time with John, especially towards the end, and a lot of times he would speak and I would write. And he choreographed his exit through and through.
Really?
And I mean,
I think he choreographed his entire life, his band, his work habits. If I went to have lunch with him, I knew what time I needed to. And it wasn't demonstrative, but he was going to follow up. Here's where to the point where I'm sitting back left, look for the, you know,
Yep.
Everything was mapped out. And obviously you guys clearly know a whole lot better than I did, but I gathered that was his life.
That's how he did things, and this was no different. He choreographed every bit of it. I'm talking about who his musical equipment went to.
I was about to ask. That was my first question. His gear.
Did get a real nice Gibson.
Right.
But not only that, he choreographed the memorial service that we're going to have. I'm talking all the way through it. He picked every song he wanted played there. He picked who he wanted to speak, who his pastor was, how he wanted it to go. And then furthermore, he asked me if you know, we talked a lot about how to keep his legacy alive and to allow him the opportunity to continue to give back to the communities that he's been so proud to serve over all these decades after his passing. And so he wanted the John Lockhart Foundation. And I told him I would not only be honored to do it, but that I would give it my all for him. And his emphasis in this foundation is to the benefit of children in need, and more specifically, the number one recipient of the proceeds that his foundation earns goes to the Center for Child Protection. It's a private organization, it's a private advocacy group that what they do is they advocate for children, to support children that are the victims of abuse and crimes from the very beginning of it becoming known all the way through the proceedings that get them to the other side and on to healing and a better life. And so his heart was certainly set on that. In fact, I had the great fortune of touring their facility yesterday for about 2.5 hours. And they just do wonderful things. So all the proceeds for the John Lockhart Foundation right now are earmarked for Center for Child Protection. They work with your state and municipal agencies, law enforcement, and they kind of bring everyone together to solve the redundancies and disconnects and delays that come with that. So,
Sure.
So they kind of bring them all together. And that's what the foundation is serving. And there's plenty of ways to donate to the foundation, which we can hopefully hit on before I leave.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, this is a foundation that's going to continue in perpetuity. We're going to have around 3 events a year, every year. So we'll continue to keep the communities aware of upcoming events. We put a lot on our shoulders this year by putting 3 in the same weekend, and we're going to pull it off, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be wonderful. But this year we had to make sure that one of them was a true celebration of his life, which, to hit on that, that's not necessarily a fundraiser. There's no ticket charges. We're not going to be selling, auction items and stuff. This is for the community and the fan base to come out and to celebrate, to come out and be a part of a Suede concert first and foremost, and enjoy the evening, but to celebrate John Lockhart's life, to celebrate his life, his legacy, and to remember him in a positive, fun, celebratory environment. So again, there's no charge to come to the show. No one's going to be hard pressed to be pulling their wallets out. This is to come out of love. The golf tournament the day before is a true to form fundraiser, and then of course the memorial service is to come have the closure that we all seek through a formal memorial service. We're likely going to do another event later this year, and then we'll have the 3 a year kind of spread out a little bit
Right.
more as we move forward. But again, there's lots of ways to donate. Anybody that feels the need or to make a donation in honor of John Lockhart, his wish is that donation goes to the John Lockhart Foundation. And so anybody out there in the community that wants to contribute and wants to donate to John's vision and his charitable cause, certainly that'd be appreciated.
Yeah, we'll hit how you can do that as we get wrapped up on this. I got to say, because I hear you talking, and I off the air, I told you I lost my dad. I love to talk about him on the radio, and I miss him dearly. And he passed away from cancer as well. And it was hard for me to deal with, but someone once told me, man, cancer can be a blessing because sometimes we don't get to choose how we leave this world. If you do, if it happens to be you get that diagnosis, you have 2 things. You can curl up in a ball, or you can fight and you can say goodbye. And I got 4 years to say goodbye to my father in the best way possible, and I cherish those memories. And it sounds like not only did John say goodbye to you and the band and his friends and his fans and his coworkers, and that was a huge group, but he had a chance to show love as he went out, as you pointed out, the way he wanted to.
In a big way.
Right. Yeah, well, let's talk about this weekend, which starts with the golf tournament. And let's move it over to Cork and Barrel. First of all, I got to find out all about Cork and Barrel. Where is this place at if we want to go be a part of this party? Of course, we got all the details that we'll put up on the website. Paul Gomez, Cork and Barrel. Where is it at? What you got going there? And how can we come be a part of this party?
Good question. Cork and Barrel is on Highway 79, East Palm Valley Boulevard, actually just a little past the Dell Diamond.
Where everything is blowing up.
Absolutely.
Somebody's smart for putting a place wherever you put it.
I think they planned this out really well. It
Yeah.
took a few years of planning, but with Kalahari opening up across the street, it's going to bring lots of great opportunities to us.
What all's Cork and Barrel? Is it food, beer, wine, full bar?
Cork and Barrel keeps evolving. Initially we started out with what was going to be an Irish pub
Right.
with a mix of a Texas culinary cuisine, and it started to grow. We've got an open concept kitchen, and one of the biggest areas of opportunity that we found was with our beer garden. This past weekend we had Del Watson at Beetroot Revival, and multiple times we had heard compliments about how great of a live music venue we were. So that was the first mentioning of us being a live music venue, and it
Right.
felt good. Ideally we've got some room to grow, but this was a great opportunity to partner up with Robert, with Collins, and definitely looking forward to the celebration of life.
Yeah. No, and thank you for being a part of this. And I know the guys will say that in sentiment as well. And thank you for whether it was going to be a live music venue or not, I think it's all kind of conglomerate now in the live music capital of the world, when every live music venue is struggling and every band and artist out there is just hoping there's something and somewhere else they can play. To have another venue is incredible.
We've had quite a few opportunities, and we're booking more bands to come, over the next few weeks. We have at least 4 days a week where we have either live music or vinyl Wednesdays. So live music is definitely a thing out at Cork and Barrel, and really invite everybody out to come check us out.
All right.
It's a beautiful place. It really is.
Yeah, they've got this whole back area with this beautiful deck, and then it goes down onto the grass with this beautiful tree-covered grass area that goes right down to the creek, the water. I mean, it's kind of it's not like you go out back and there's these buildings and all this. It's really nice. It's
natural.
And they've got several areas inside, and they spared no expense on the finish out, and the culture, the theme, and the tone of the facility is just spot on. And then when you get to that backyard, it's just, you go from this expansive deck settings to almost like a park-like setting, as it's with a gradual slope down to a live creek, and it's just it's very harmonious. It's a place John would have.
I like that word, harmonious, when you talk with John, and obviously harmonious will be this weekend, which starts with the golf tournament Thursday, sold out. I even told Robert, I'm like, I was at the Texas Regional Radio Awards, and several people were asking me about if I was going to come play golf, and Robert, well, it's sold out. That's awesome. I'm glad it's sold out.
What a blessing to have that go so quickly.
And it's going to be every year annual event now coming up, hopefully. Yeah.
I can't see any reason why I wouldn't do this tournament every year.
Golf tournament every year. We'll do. What we're thinking now, and again, this is going to be a bit of an evolutionary process.
Sure.
But a golf tournament is going to be spot on every year. And then, we'll probably do an annual concert, of course, and we may piggyback that around John's birthday. And then we'll do another event as well that we've got some ideas brewing that I think everyone's going to love.
That Friday night, though, April the 9th, if you're keeping score at home, at Cork and Barrel, which, again, 400 East Palm Valley Road, right there in Del Diamond, Kalahari Resorts, right across kind of in that area.
It's 4,000 East Palm Valley Boulevard. Sorry about that little typo there.
Oh, okay. Well,
4,000 East Palm Valley Boulevard, just a little bit past the Del Diamond, and you'll definitely recognize the Cork and Barrel.
It should be easy to find there.
Very easy to find.
And that whole strip right there is just blowing up. So
yeah, we've got some great neighbors and a couple of other restaurants that have started to fill in, and it's been good for sure.
So Friday night, Robert, talk about the events that we're going to have there.
Well, the Suede Show is the main thing, and we're super excited about that. I mean, for me.
That's what you have to prepare for.
I'll be singing if you want to come find me. And we've got something really special planned, and I don't want to give it away. What could I say? Could I tease a little bit?
A little bit, I think.
Let's just say there won't be a hologram or anything, but John Lockhart may join us again one more time through the magic of technology, and I'll leave it at that.
Sure.
So there's going to be something very special that's happening.
Did John plan this too?
He picked out my outfit as well. I'm not even going to lie.
I wouldn't doubt it.
He said, wear something black.
Yeah.
Which I do every day.
Yeah,
but it's going to be really neat. We're going to have a big, the big screen that they're also going to have at the ceremony, the memorial ceremony on Saturday. We're going to have a big screen out there, and it's going to be a really special Suede show. And again, we're going to have our brother Brian Lee warming things up. He's a great solo guitar player and singer. He'll really set the mood. And that'll be, like music will start at 5 till 6:30, and then we'll say a few words and do a few things. And I myself, through Collins Johnson, his beautiful suggestion to me, he told me, "You're crazy if you don't play your song God's Eyes." So I'm going to bring my little portable piano kind of thing out. I'm going to do my own song for John that day, and before the Suede thing kicks in and the party gets cracking, and it's just going to be a great vibe. And it is 21 and up. Nothing against the kids, but we wanted to have just some time for the adults and for us all to come and hug it out and maybe shed a few tears and have more than a few laughs. And at some point, we'll get to dancing, and we'll do what we always do at a Suede show. We'll just forget about everything, and and we'll we'll feel the bliss, hopefully.
Just rock it.
I do have to ask you, because you spend a lot of time on stage. The brotherhood of a band is completely different than the brotherhood of anybody, sometimes closer than actual blood and brothers. You spend a lot of time with John Lockhart. I mean, Suede is still the top cover band, whatever pigeonhole some people put a band in. Y'all are still the top band. Obviously, nobody got to play last year, but you guys managed to still hang in there and keep it together, which a lot of bands did not. But from getting to play in New York,
Radio City Music Hall. I mean, some of my best memories are John and I. When we would go, we did a lot of, I say touring. We would just go out and play these different dates: New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Yakima, Washington. We played all over the Valley and in Texas. But usually when, like example, we were in Chicago and we were playing at Rosemont there, and everybody else in the band had their itinerary. We got to go here, we got to go there. It's Chicago, And John and I just said, hey, let's just start walking, like we always did. And we ended up meeting some people and sitting in a diner for 2 hours, just having great conversation with these people we just met, and then we never saw them again. But that was kind of how we like to roll, John and I. Let's just see what's out there. No big plans, no itinerary, and let life come at you. And those are some of my best memories of hanging out with John. And, when we weren't, entertaining and we didn't have people, and we're very blessed, standing on all sides of us, waiting to say hi, and, just him and I. And so, those are great memories.
One of my favorite memories, I wasn't there, but you guys play Speakeasy and somebody out in the crowd decides to, hey, why don't you guys go on the road with us, and takes you out. Talk about that event, because that had to be, maybe we are badass.
Well, I had heard that the comedian George Lopez was coming through Austin to play, and I said, well, that's cool. And I like George, and at the time I think he had literally 3 TV shows going. He was definitely at his peak of popularity. And sure enough, halfway through the show, here comes George through the front door with his small entourage and Latinas, whatever. And one of his guys came over and said to me on the break, hey, man, don't say anything about George. I said, well, I wasn't going to, but no problem. And then I saw him over there, on the side of the stage, getting a little bored. And then we started playing a Michael Jackson song back when I had my falsetto. Anyways, and he just couldn't take it anymore. So he runs out and he starts dancing on the floor. And we finished that song, and we launched into Boston, Foreplay and Long Time.
Oh, yeah.
And that just lit him up, because he is a rocker, which I didn't know at the time, obviously, and I know now. And he locked eyes with me, and he gave me that shrug, like, hey, I'll sing it, that look. Hey, I got this. And I said, come on, man. And he blew me off, and I had a wireless mic. And I just jumped right up the front of the stage. I parted the crowd, and I stuck the mic in his face. And he started singing it, a little off key. It's been such a long time.
Right.
And everybody started turning around. Oh, my God, that's George Lopez.
Yeah, you didn't have to say his name then.
No. And after we finished that song, it was the last song of the set, he came up on stage, and then everybody was taking pictures. And about 2 weeks later, I was actually on the golf course, and I got a call. And it was, they were like, George Lopez wants to know if you guys, Suede, want to come to Los Angeles and play 3 nights at the Nokia Theater right after Christmas.
Did you try to act cool? Like, man, we have to think about that. Let me talk to my people.
I gotta look at my calendar.
Yeah, definitely. I said, well, my people will call your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just said, hey, give us $20,000. We just threw a number out there and we'll be there. And they said, yeah, no problem. So of course it wasn't about the money, but it was just one of those things. And so we went out, and I won't go on, but this is the funniest part. We get to LA, we get to the Nokia Theater. We're in the green room. We still haven't seen George, and this is many months later. And here he comes in his white robe with his manager, which is his uncle, RJ. And they come in, and they're like, hey, we love you guys. We're glad you're here. And he said, but I got to tell you, man, I was just telling this man, hey, I hope they're good, because I was really drunk that night. and his uncle, his manager said, me too, man. I was thinking the same thing. So it was kind of just a blurry memory, I think, that Suede was amazing, and he had to get us out there. And then once we were there, he was like, geez, I hope these guys are good. and we lost into our set, and about halfway through it, George came out and he grabbed the mic from me. And, you guys got to make some noise, or I'm not coming out. And you know, and that was the beginning of 2.5 years of touring all over the country with George Lopez.
And John Lockhart on the stage, your brother, next to you the entire time. From beginning into, as Collins pointed out, he played to the end.
He did. He didn't miss a show. You know, our drummer, Chris Skiles, also...
monster drummer.
Yeah.
One of the best
also,
I've ever heard, period.
Battled cancer. Yeah. And so it was the same thing. And this was the second instance where someone in my band showed me what professionalism is, and determination and tenacity. And, you know, you really get a perspective when someone comes right from a chemo and to the show and they don't say a word. I mean, they're not any different. And Chris and John, to their credit, never once said, I'm tired. You know, it was always the exact same before any of this happened, that same
show
vibe
must go
and that
on.
same attitude and that same professionalism. And here we go. And from the first show I ever played with Suede, which they tell me they did a show without me. I don't want to believe it. But there was just one. So I've been there all along.
Right.
But for some reason, that first show, I went over and I just get the fist pound to everybody in the band, and we've done that every show for 14 years. And it's just that, you know, it's like, here we are. It's go time. And of course, it never meant more when we knew that, you know, we wouldn't have forever with John, and you know, so it's a great bonding. And being in a band, you are a band of brothers, you know, and you live out each other's pockets, and you spend a lot of time together. You spend a lot of time in a van or a truck or whatever, driving for hours in the middle of the night, trying to keep each other awake, you know. And but you really get close.
Yeah, that part of being in a band, the codes of being in a band that are completely different than the rest of the world. We'll leave that one there. No,
Yeah.
You did bring your guitar, and you're like, I don't know if you want me to play, but I do feel like if you would favor us with a song, and then you're like, this is my dad's song, or my dad's guitar.
This is my dad's guitar.
Talk about your dad, because I know how proud of your dad you are, and I've tried to follow some of the stories, and you're like, yeah, this is the guitar my dad had when he recorded, was it Beth?
Yeah, he played on the song Beth, which everybody knows from
That'd be Kiss.
He played acoustic guitar on there. You'd have to really listen to it. And he played on that record. He played on Aerosmith Get Your Wings record, but he also had a career with Alice Cooper where he played on some of the early records as a ghost musician. Like in the 70s, a lot of musicians didn't get credited. Unlike today where, you know, you want everybody to know who played on your record. But he wrote 4 of Alice's biggest hits: Only Women Bleed, How You Gonna See Me Now, You and Me, I Never Cry. He wrote a big song for Air Supply called Just As I Am, which was another big hit. I've got all these gold records that he accumulated and platinum records at my house now, which is kind of nice.
I love how you honor your dad all the time.
Yeah.
You can tell the love you have for your dad that you share with other people. So I wanted to at least bring that out, because I feel like I know your dad just from what you talk about online and how much he means to you, and the celebrations you have for your father.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate to be a part of 3 memorial concerts in Detroit where, you know, I got to get on stage with so many of my heroes. I mean, the drummer from Chicago, the guitar player from Bob Seger, you know, the list goes on.
Yeah, I started geeking out because you know Kip Winger. I'm like,
yeah,
because Kip Winger was in Alice Cooper's band. I know.
Yeah,
I'm
my
the
girlfriend
one.
at the time was like, God, he's good looking. I said, girl, is that news to you? Everybody knows Kip Winger's good looking. But he was a super great guy.
And your dad's name, we'll forget to mention your dad's name.
Dick Wagner.
Dick Wagner.
And yeah, just check out WagnerMusic.com and you can see his discography. It'll blow your mind how many records he played on and how many great artists he played with. Peter Gabriel, Meatloaf. He was great friends with Mark Farner. I got to jam out with Mark Farner and hear stories how my dad showed Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad his first chords. And literally the night my dad showed him his first chords, he wrote the song Heartbreaker. The first song he ever wrote was that night at my mom's house. Pretty cool stuff.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And you're playing that guitar that he...
I'm going to play it. And this song is actually called Daddy, but it's not so much about my dad and our relationship, but more of the power of fatherhood and how you can really be a hero for a child, but also all through someone's life. So. In my first memory, you were tall and strong. I was smiling proudly at your knee, trying hard to hang on, swinging in the backyard. On those long summer days, running wild till the sun came down, me and my daddy would play. You were my John Wayne, you were my James Dean. You're everything I dreamed to be. And just in case you didn't see, you're my hero. You're an inspiration to me. Looking back on my life, know that God blessed me with my daddy. When I was just 17, working hard every day to make my daddy proud of me, to make my own way, but life got crazy. And when I lost my way, you believed in me and you always said, you'll be okay. You were my John Wayne, you were my James Dean. You're everything I dreamed to be. And just in case you didn't see, you're my hero. You're an inspiration to me. Looking back on my whole life, now I can see that time rolls on like an endless road. But here with you, I'm home. I'm home. On our last summer day, the day the angels came, took my hand and he said to me, you'll be okay. You were my John Wayne, yeah. You were my James Dean. You're everything I dreamed to be. And just in case you didn't see, yeah, you're my hero. You're an inspiration to me. Looking back on this beautiful life, know that God bless me. You're my John Wayne, you were my Springsteen, yeah, yeah. You're everything I dreamed to be. And all the things you did for me, you're still my hero, yeah. You're an inspiration to me. Looking back on this beautiful life, know that God bless me with my daddy. My daddy.
He's Robert Wagner. Woo! The crowd goes wild in the Coke FM
gentlemen.
studios. Our first ever guest, well, at least first in a year.
I love coming down
Feels
here
like
to
it,
Coke
doesn't it?
Studios, man. They got plush furniture. They got Eric Rains.
Good vibe. We should have done that first.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no. I tried to offer y'all drinks, but they're like, no, we'll usually there's Bud Light flowing in here, but
Seen me do it.
Robert Wagner, of course, with Suede. You have several other projects you're a part of as well.
I have a band called Robert Wagner and Road Collective, which is my band of brothers where I have it's a little bit of a floating roster of musicians, but primarily I have Jake Sherrard and Alex Geismer and Joe G in my band, and other guys come in and play, and everybody's welcome. So it's more of an open format. You know, if you're a musician or you're in the house, we're going to get you up on stage. And then I have a Led Zeppelin tribute band, which I've become a part of, called Tex Zepp, and they are absolutely phenomenal. Probably the premier, humbly, Zeppelin tribute band in Texas. I also have a Black Crowes tribute that I do.
Didn't you do a Bad Company tribute like a week ago?
Just did a Bad Company tribute. Eric, I have these things floating around in my head, and these that I just want to do. And there's, other than tributes, there's other things as well, writing music and all that. But I just have these artists and this music that I just love so much, and I think, gosh, if I could just get this guy and that guy, I would have the most amazing band, and I could do these songs, and I could just go out and sing them. And I'm in the Cadillac, playing with these great musicians. So it's a labor of love. It's just I have my personal wish list, and then things pop up all the time, and I just think to myself, hey, that's something I want to do. And then I spend 2 months putting it together, and every day I have a deep purpose. And then the day after the show, I'm depressed, and I just want to eat pizza and sit in the dark until I go, oh wait, I can do this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's the musician mind, the artist mind, right there. Ebb and flow as far as where you go. Robert Wagner, of course, part of Suede and a part of that weekend of the celebration of life. Starts Thursday with a golf tournament. Of course, Friday, April the 9th, we'll be hanging at Cork and Barrel. And again, I'm going to put all these details on the website. And then finally, the celebration. And that's on that Sunday, correct?
Saturday for the actual memorial service.
Saturday's the memorial service. Yeah. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
Collins, I got to ask you one last time, as far as the event Saturday, open to the public, but you have to sign up. Where do you go to sign up for that?
So you can go to johnlockhart.com, johnlockhartfoundation.com. Also, we'll give you some material to put on your website as well, and so we can direct through there. And there may be an opportunity. I think if you go to Gateway Church and make sure you go to Gateway North Austin, I think you can get to the registration link that way as well.
Right. But you do, if you want to be a part of it, you do have to sign up.
Yeah, and that's kind of a protocol, with the new state of affairs and COVID.
Sure. That's
a protocol the church likes to follow, and we're just very grateful for them to be allowing us to come in and have this service. So you got to go in and register just so they have kind of an idea of how they're going to accept, and seat people.
Right. And they're doing that with a lot of churches just to make sure they're not going over too many.
Correct.
And, coming off Easter Sunday, a lot of people go to church for the first time Easter Sunday, and they're like, maybe we should go the following weekend.
That's like the Super Bowl of
exactly.
Weekend for church.
And this is going to be a Super Bowl of celebration. Again, if you're just watching or you're listening, John, last March the 29th, passed away of cancer.
9:15 a.m.
What was it?
9:15 a.m., the same time he would have been walking on stage to serve at Gateway Church.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He passed away March 29th, 2020, 9:15 a.m.
We did feel like he held on for that.
He did.
For that moment. It's just mind-boggling, but beautiful.
He did. He did. I guarantee.
Yeah.
He asked God. He said, "Hey, look, let me just choreograph this one last thing.
Yeah.
Let me just get this one last thing."
There's a theme with Mr. Lockhart about choreographing things.
John used to tell me when he would talk about playing guitar, I mean, we would just talk about certain songs or licks or whatever, and he'd say, I just love to execute. And that was his thing, execution, I mean, he was a great musician, and the love was there, but he loved just execute.
Yeah, and
that's
he did
kind
it well.
of the story of his life.
And he was a matchmaker, too. He connected people from connected people from all types of backgrounds and all types of industries and spaces and genres of music, and just connected so many people, based on their strengths and their weaknesses and their likenesses and their differences. And he would just take people and just connect them. You got to meet this person. You really got to meet this guy. And he would just, that's how he lived. And he literally, he was a catalyst for so many different connections and across various playing fields, music and otherwise. And you were mentioning the band earlier, and just how, it's an inspiration to see how connected they were as a band, and they are as a band. And I got to say, even towards the end when he still got up on stage, he connected musically with you guys flawlessly.
Yep.
all the way till the last show he did.
Yeah, you mentioned connecting. Obviously, this celebration of life is a connection for all of us to get to connect to a friend that we cared about. I remember having the conversations over. We loved the Loopy Tortilla. We go over there and talk for a while. And I know John, and he often said this, I use the band to connect to some of my business stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, you know, he dressed great. He was all into fashion and how he looked and how he held himself up on stage. And then working some of those angles when he got off, obviously a smart man. I remember the day I heard that he passed away. He understood media. He understood radio. Dale Dudley and Dudley's wife were great friends of John Lockhart. I remember how it affected them. And I'm driving home. That's how I heard about it after, listening. His sister contacted me through Facebook and social media. So the network that he created in that connecting and the relationship he had, obviously, on and off, we'd say on and off the field. He was a big Longhorn fan.
Oh, yeah.
We loved to talk Longhorns and music and gear, but what a guy that he was. So golf tournament Thursday, sold out, but in spirit, man, you guys have a great time. I cannot wait to hear the money.
Come on
ring.
out anyway.
I may come out and just drink beer.
Yeah, come out and drink beer and hang out with us. And
Somebody's got to get a cart up on 2 wheels.
that's right.
You're the man for the job.
Well, you've heard the story. I flipped my first golf cart I ever owned. We moved to Salado, and I'm like, we can't live in Salado unless you have a golf cart. 3 days later, I flipped it and broke my wife's pelvis in 3 spots. So yeah.
Whew.
Sure, you want me to drive the golf cart?
Yeah, well, you know what? Just by yourself.
Yeah,
Go
all
drive
right,
it, but
fair enough.
We'll let her
video
make
you.
that call.
Cork and Barrel. Paul, thank you for being a part of this. I know for a lot of people that are going to be a part of this party, they're going to thank you. And again, the location, 4000 East Palm Valley Road, over there by Del Diamond, Kalahari Resorts, right across from that.
Yeah, just a little past Del Diamond on the left. Beer garden will be wide open. You can actually bring some lounge chairs because it is a nice grassy area, and it's pet friendly as well. So if you happen to make it out early and you bring a pet, that's also acceptable.
Now, this is a Friday night, too, and there's no cover charge.
No cover charge.
Yeah,
And
we're
we're just opening up to the public.
So Swade's playing for free?
You don't have to pay to see Suede. Come on out.
No, I realize we're not doing that for a free cover. You guys are doing that in memory of and honor of the guy that you stood by for many, many years. But for a chance on a Friday night to open up a restaurant, club, live venue, if you pointed out, thank you for being a part of this and coming in today.
Very much so. And they've gone above and beyond and done put a lot into helping with this.
And Collins can't say enough about. I mean, it's clear. Even Robert was like, "Man, you're not gonna have to say too much. This guy he's very well spoken."
And he's just from the heart, and he's he's. I don't know. I get almost. It's like
he's got some
listen
cool.
to a pastor speak when I listen to this man speak, and because it's heart, and
A lot like John.
yeah, it's great, man.
He's got some cool machismo. Is that a word that I can use?
hey
Down here in Texas,
Yeah.
Yes, you can
cowboy
use that
boots
word.
or flip flops for this man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming and be a part of it, and thank you for. I say it again, for being that guy next to his side, because everybody wants that person. And some people don't get to have that person, especially at the end. They want that person.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he chose you says a lot about you and obviously John for finding that friendship.
Well, it's one of the greatest honors of my life, and there were a couple others that stayed close in this circle, with John towards the end, and they all came from different places in his life, and but John and I just became brothers. So again, it was one of the greatest honors of my life, and I'm gonna always share his legacy,
Right.
The best that I can. And while I'm hitting on it quickly, you made a comment about how he connected people from his band and his work life, and it's important to say that, John was he was a title rep for Austin Title, and Austin Title has been an instrumental influence in assisting us with all that we're doing here. In fact, 2 of our board members, which if I may, I'll plug the board
Absolutely.
members real quick. One's the president of Austin Title, Josh Williams, and the other one is, in my opinion, the best closer in town and a VP over there, Christy Tennyson. I've always closed all of my business. I do a lot of real estate development and stuff, so I've closed a lot of my business with them. But the board is actually made up of a 9-member board, and they come from different aspects of John's life, some from the professional side and some he met through the musical side. We've got a childhood friend of his that he grew up with, Clark Wheatley. We've got Mr. Richard Marshall. We've got Christy Tennyson, who I mentioned, with Austin Title. We've got Josh Williams with Austin Title. We've got Jason Lewis, and you know, a lot of people around here may know him. He's in the mortgage business now, but he was in the bar business for a long time in the older days.
Louis.
And let's see, who am I forgetting? We got James Klingman with Vista Bank, VP at Vista Bank. We got Brian May, president at Vista Bank, and
Lori Lockhart.
we got Laurie Lockhart, my vice president,
West.
and my
Lori
right
Lockhart
arm
West.
girl, and my sister with us. And you know, we're
Sounds like a really good team.
well, we got a good team, and we
Yeah.
need it. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like we're putting together a little deal where we're going to have, you know, 50, 60 people out. I mean, this is John Lockhart,
Right.
you know. So now that said, we're always looking for more volunteers and people to help from the community. And as we get better at this, we're greasing our wheels on these first events. Although I believe they're going to be spot on and spectacular, there's always going to be some improvement we can look forward at. And as we continue to do these events annually, we're going to be seeking a lot more support by way of volunteers and committees and perhaps subcommittees. So, you know, anybody out there that wants to volunteer or help, just reach out to us. Just find us on social media or find us on the website. And you know, we'll be looking for, you know, additional support on golf course, golf tournament committees, concert committees, which, you know, I can't say enough about Robert and Chris on this concert. You know, I mean, I came to them and said, guys, y'all, this is what y'all do, you know, and I don't want to screw this up, and I don't want to get in your way. I just want to be here to help you make this the best concert we can make. And they just stepped up, and it's just, you know, it's just been such a heartwarming and outpouring of support and volunteer efforts. And I got to say, you know, we've been kind of hovering around this COVID pandemic for so long and not really knowing what to do and when to do it. And we finally just came together, and it was just in February when we started planning this. And we said, look, we just got to do it. We got to put a date out there, and we've got to, as John always said, we got to defend it. And we got to have a memorial service. And if, you know, we don't know how long we are going to be dancing around this new state of affairs, you know, with COVID, and you know, we've got to have some celebration of life. We've got to have this closure, and the community needs this, and people want to come out and they want to be a part of this. So we're just going to do it. So we picked these dates, and we just stuck with it, and we defended it. And I got to say, everybody, not just the board members, but the support from the band, and the support from Cork and Barrel, and the support from volunteers, and the people coming out just to lend their time, and of course those that are donating. It's just a really big deal. And I can tell you right now that John he's giggling happy right now, looking at the
He's
people
going, woo, woo.
outpouring. Yeah, he is. And you mentioned his style, and you mentioned the way he dressed and how he always looked sharp. And, you know, I don't know how him and Robert were born with such Hollywood hair. But
Yeah.
but you
Don't
know,
look over
I
here.
didn't get that. That's why I wear a cowboy hat. But John had that Hollywood hair and that gleam in his eyes till the moment he left this earth and went to heaven. And
Amen.
just the way he is, you know.
Well, you mentioned, and before we get out of here, that foundation, how people can get involved and or donate one more time. That was
JohnLockhartFoundation.com.
right.
Yep. And before we're done, though, if I could just hit real quick.
Sure.
We have to look this up, but ways they can donate. So if anybody wants to donate, you know, look, I know down here it's kind of a Southern tradition. A lot of times, you know, people donate when someone passes to their charity of choice or to their church. And of course, we strongly support Gateway North Church and highly endorse people attending that church and donating to them. But the John Lockhart Foundation it's a foundation that's established to benefit children, and more specifically, its focus is to align with Center for Child Protection and as an advocacy group for children that are the victims of crime and the victims of abuse, which is just heart-wrenching, but at the same time warming to see such an advocacy group and their success. So you can go to Venmo, which is venmo.com/John Lockhart Foundation, or you can go to PayPal, John Lockhart Foundation @gmail.com. Or you can send a check to the John Lockhart Foundation and mail it to attention Brian May at Vista Bank, which is at 3720 Jefferson Street, Austin, Texas 78731. That information can be found on the website, and we're hoping posted with you guys as well.
Absolutely. We'll make sure we get that up and on this video when we post it. So, again, thank you for what you guys have done. obviously, Robert, brothers, for a long time up on that stage, which sometimes is completely, I don't think unless you've shared a stage and shared those secrets. And when I say that, it's not, everyone says code of the road. No, just you're living with four guys. They become your brothers.
Mm-hmm. And then really, musicians, I don't think anybody would be surprised by this, but you do have a musical connection, especially with certain people, and it's like an unspoken thing. So you say the secrets, or it's not so much about a crazy lifestyle.
Right.
It's about an understanding, I think. And you can just turn and look at each other and go, yeah, you just know it, and when it's happening, and it's a beautiful thing. And so I'm kind of a late bloomer in my life. I knew from a young age I wanted to be just like my dad, but I've found the most of my success, for lack of a better term, later in life. And I've found that I wake up every day and I still just want to go play. And I'm in my 50s, and it's crazy. You think when you're 20 years old you're going to be a big star at 25, and you'll be gone at 30. And thank God, and John, right to the last days, he played until he just couldn't play anymore. And that's the life of I always call us lifers. I say us, but musicians that they're just not gonna. There's no backup plan. You might do other things, but you're just not gonna ever quit playing or give up. You just want to go right to the end, and it's a beautiful thing.
And the way you honored him, again, nobody got to play when it got shut down. Obviously, that's why we're having this celebration coming up next week. But the way you honored him online, and what you did, just playing music, getting up early in the morning.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. That helped us through, because there's, again, one of the hardest parts for a lot of his friends, and I'm sure family too, there was no closure. And that's what this is about, from the golf tournament to heading out to Cork and Barrel Friday, April the 9th, to the celebration that following Saturday. For Paul, for Collins, for Robert, thank y'all for coming in today.
Thank you so much, Eric. We love you, man.
Thank you. Very grateful.